Welcome to the workshop on quality assurance. My name is Dr. Claude Presnell. I serve as the president of the Tennessee Independent Colleges and Universities. This workshop on quality assurance is brought to you by IREX in conjunction with TACUA. TACUA is an association of 34 universities in the state of Tennessee in the United States, enrolling 78,000 students and conferring 19,000 degrees from the baccalaureate to the PhD. As we take a look at quality assurance, I think that the first fundamental question we need to answer is, why do we do it? First, we live in a knowledge economy. Whereas in the past, manufacturing was a large driver of many national economies, we find now that even in the manufacturing industry, knowledge is king because it provides a highly trained worker to be able to accommodate the new advances within the manufacturing community. Not to mention what we have in the service community, in the government community, and throughout our entire society. As well as intellectual mobility. We're seeing students move more now than ever before. Institutions of higher learning are sharing students and faculty not only within country but across international borders. As well, there's a need for intellectual excellence in all areas. It's very important that we not only pay attention to the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but as well we take a look at all areas of a civil society that would include government, history, and the arts. Also, there needs to be a visioning of a partnership of training, economic development within a civil society. This is not only local and regional, but also nationally and globally. That there needs to be a shared view on exactly where we're going as a nation and defining the role of how the higher education community plays within that shared vision. So as we have this shared vision, it's important that we begin to identify the various stakeholders included in the higher education community. So who are some of these stakeholders in quality assurance and higher ed? One, the general public. It is very important that those citizens for which we serve have the confidence that our institutions are involved in ongoing quality assurance programs, that we're providing the highest level of education opportunity for students within our local area. As well, the higher education community. I touched on this earlier, that there is an increased level of higher educational mobility among students and faculty. Higher education institutions must trust one another that there is high level of quality assurance programs engaged at the institutional level. And then there's the government. All of our governments are interested in making sure that we're providing high quality educational programs for the future of our nations and our local societies. And at the same time, as governments invest within our higher education institutions, they're very much interested that we're good stewards of those resources that they're giving to us. Students are wanting to make sure as well that we are providing the best quality programs available for them to choose from. They want to know that when they attend an institution of higher learning, that they are actually entering into a program that is involved in ongoing quality assurance programs. And then, of course, employers. As employers hire the students who graduate from our programs, they want to have the confidence that our programs have trained those students adequately for the workplace. So what is the goal of accreditation and quality? It really centers around the institution's mission. The university must be able to articulate its mission within its recognized context of higher education, and it should as well be able to understand its responsibility of showing how it is accomplishing that mission. That's the core element of quality assurance. So what are the fundamental demands of quality? One, quality practice demands broad-based ministry and institutional commitment. In other words, the governments that establish accreditation as well as the institutional leadership must have a firm commitment to quality assurance and being able to facilitate quality practice on each individual institution. Quality must be an inclusive process. It must include all the stakeholders that we mentioned before and more that you may identify, but it's inclusive, not exclusive in its process. Next, the process is openly communicated. This is to be a very open and transparent process that enables all the stakeholders to have an active part. Next, it clearly outlines the responsibilities. What are the responsibilities of the various stakeholders in the quality assurance process, as well as clearly identifying the areas by which we have the ability to affect change, and also understanding those areas that we don't, so that whatever quality assurance programs we put in place, we know that they might affect ultimate quality improvement over time. As well, a quality assurance program done rightly will empower change and constant improvement. It will literally become addictive. These will be things that people who are involved in the process will want to continue to do. So accreditation and quality assurance takes various structural models. And as we look at different national models, we see that there are really three primary models that are in existence at this time. One, the governmental existence or model, where the government actually funds and staffs the accreditation quality assurance mechanism implementation, so they have total control over defining quality assurance and funding those initiatives. The second is quasi-governmental, where the government may provide some funding, but it is actually governed independently by the institutions participating in the quality assurance movement. And then finally, independent, where the government has some interest in what happens in quality assurance, but ultimately it is designed and implemented by the member institutions. The independent model is what you find in the United States. Regardless of what model may be out there, the alignment of quality expectations is critical between the larger accreditation bodies and the institutional goals and objectives. So again, the institution mission drives the quality assurance process. It serves as the primary focus and objective of the institution. It ultimately answers the question, why do we exist? And it provides institutional aspiration. So not only does it identify who we are, but it also identifies who we would like to become like. So let's look at this a little bit closer. One mission statement should be clear in identifying the institution's identity and creates loyalty to the university's purpose. If it's clearly articulated and understood by all the stakeholders, then there's a tremendous amount of loyalty by those stakeholders into the investment of improvement within that institution. If there's confusion surrounding the mission of the university, it leads to disagreements in terms of resource allocation, terms of academic programs, and it creates an enormous amount of chaos concerning the institution's priority. So the mission being clearly understood is critically important to quality assurance as a whole. So what are some of the fundamentals of accreditation that are driven by the institution's mission? 1, governance and administration. 2, financial and physical resources. 3, the student services. Next would be your educational programs. Next would be the quality of your faculty. In the library and other learning resources as well. All of these need to be centered upon the institution's mission, carry within themselves missions related to governance, administration, and so on and so forth, but related directly to accomplishing the institution's mission. So what needs to be done? 1, you need to be able to measure success. What are you trying to accomplish? As a result of that, you need robust data to be able to make sure you understand where you are, where you want to go, and how you're progressing toward that goal. You need the ability to process data into manageable and meaningful ways. It needs to be clearly understood by the stakeholders in a meaningful way for improving the process for which you're examining. There needs to be comparative analysis, not only to the institutions that are similar to yours, but the institutions with which you want to become more like, your aspirational institutions. And then as a result of having this full, robust data in all the areas of the institution, it ultimately creates an environment of continuous quality improvement. So how do you do that? Well, one thing to do administratively is to establish a campus of institutional effectiveness. This office should be mission-driven, directly relating the office's mission statement to how it's accomplishing the institution's mission statement. The university must broadly, clearly state the desired outcomes for educational programs, educational support services, and the administration so that this office can evaluate the progress and propose quality enhancement programs for each of those areas. There needs to be sufficient data, and this office needs to have the ability to be able to benchmark its capacities. This office as well needs to be able to understand assessment procedures that are in place to determine whether or not the desired outcomes are actually being accomplished. It also needs to provide evidence for improvement based on the analysis of these outcome studies. What are our next steps? This office will facilitate continuous improvement throughout the entire university. So in summary, what do we have? Is we need to understand that higher education must understand the global environment. We're no longer living within our isolated institutional walls, nor are we within our local economies. Whether we like it or not, our institutions are being compared globally to other institutions throughout the world. And this needs to be understood by everyone from the administration down through the faculty. Secondly, the stakeholders are looking for a more responsive and accountable form of higher education. The employers and corporate community are looking for educational institutions that can respond appropriately to what the new demands are in the workplace. But as well, we need to be accountable to all of our stakeholders, whether it be students, our population, our government, or our employers. As well, collaboration is key, not only within the institution, but in order to expand our educational programs, we need to be willing to cooperate and collaborate with other higher education institutions within our region and also throughout the world. And then finally, higher education must define, demonstrate, and clearly communicate meaningful student outcomes. What is it we're trying to do with our educational programs? What are those outcomes? We need to be able to clearly communicate those and demonstrate ways that we are accountable in terms of making sure that those outcomes are actually being accomplished. I hope that you have found this workshop on quality assurance helpful to you. Again, it's been brought to you by IREX and TACUA. We look forward to continuing the conversation on the discussion board, and we'll be providing additional resources online for your support. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you in the future.